This is Burroughs Cache2Cash Training. I want to spend the next 10 or 15 minutes and cover the basic functions of Burroughs Cache2Cash cloud software. Cache2Cash is the tool that's used when intelligent safes are networked by Burroughs, and from a central location, the customer can view all of the transaction access and gain reporting tools for the series of safes that are on the network. So I want to give a high-level overview as to what Cache2Cash is. I'm using my demonstration safes, which don't have a lot of dollars in them, so your individual safes will be much higher in dollar value, so you'll see more transactions in there. But this still gives you all the basic information you need to inquire as to safe activity, what's going on with each safe, and be able to use the Cache2Cash tool with the system. First of all, you should have filled out and signed a Cache2Cash user setup, at which point the Cache2Cash Burroughs administrator will send you the web address and then in a separate email your username and sign on. So you're able to go to the web page, log in, and be able to see what's going on with your safe. So I've already logged in as the administrator to my series of demonstration safes. Each safe is set up as a line item on your home screen. Each line item is defined as it's been set up by our system administrator. You'll see that we've named these series for C-Store, Sentinel Burgers, Armor Cadillac, and Mini Taco Taco. Your locations will have whatever names you've told Burroughs to give them, and it may even have a store number in there. So this will be your restaurant or store identifier, and there will be one line item for each of these that's on your network. The safe ID is how Burroughs keeps track of the network. Often this number matches the store ID. It's just a unique identifier. Then there's a three-level hierarchy for state, region, and zone, which is a way to group and categorize your safes. The bill count is a dynamic changing value. That's the number of notes that are in the safe at any given moment. So this is the amount of the currency, the money, the individual notes represented in the number that's in the system. And that's important because each safe has a limit to how much they can hold, either 1,200, 2,400, or 4,200 notes. And that's important information, so if you start to get full, you'll able to see that across the network. And then the current dollar value. So the count of the notes is individual pieces of paper. The dollar value is what the dollar value is currently in the safe. Not to be confused with provisional credit and how much money was transferred yesterday or how much will be transferred today. This is the raw dollars that's in the machine, represented by these denominations. And there's a numeric value in here. So if there's 100, there's $100 in the safe. So my home screen gives me this snapshot view as to my locations by name, bill count, dollar value. And of course it adds the dollar value from my overall current value. There's no point in adding bill count because it's only important by location. So I'm going to go back to the home screen. There's data is kept for 12 months by Burroughs. The reports data is the last 90 days of data, and the reports archive data is the 91st through 365th day. So most current 90 days, 9 months older than that is how we keep track of and access our data. I'm going to go to the home screen, hover over it. The first screen I want to show is the retail screen. I will click on that. And this comes back, it gives me a drop-down menu if I had a large number of locations. and I wanted to set them up and categorize them in different ways to look at it, I've got the ability to drill down on any one of these reports. For purposes of simplicity, each of those stores or restaurants are detailed down here. And let's go select Sentinel Burgers. When I hover over Sentinel Burgers, it turns blue. I can click on it, and it will now show me the detail of that location for the last 2 weeks. So it defaults from January 4th, which is where I am today, to 2 weeks prior to that. I can hover over either of these calendars, and I can pick my own range of time. I'll pick December 1st through December 20th, just for the purposes of seeing more data. I'm going to come over here, I'm going to click on Update, and the data will get updated. And now I'm looking at that 12/20, and the most current is at the top of the list, and I can go back in time and look at transactions. Most of our screens will have an export to Excel and an export to PDF function as part of that. For purposes of seeing more of the data, I'm going to click on Export to Excel right now and move the data into Excel for simplicity and ease of use. This gives me the ability to store my data in another format. So here is that range of time I picked from 12/1 to 12/20. Now there's a number of transactions. I'll make the screen bigger so you can see it. There's a number of different events that occur. ZREPs are zero report or end-of-day transactions. And I think I told you earlier, these are demonstration safes, so they do not receive use every day. So a zero report is when a day automatically ends. These are set to end at 2200 hours or 10 o'clock p.m. And if we don't use them, they just roll over each business day with no dollars in them. So let's go back to some pertinent time. I can see that on 12/14 at 1:13 p.m., an RCSH, which stands for Remove Cache. So the user named Courier opened up the safe. There was no money in it, so this was capturing a transaction. Let's go up here to line number 15. At 11:20 a.m., user Alvarez deposited $20 in the safe, and it brought the safe value to 20. And then a few minutes later, we opened it up with the remove cache and removed the 20. The business day went by. Alvarez dropped another $7. We took the $7 back out. And because there were transactions, the green line here becomes a payment. In your system, you'll want to pay attention to this line. The green payment line is the amount of money that will be transferred to the transaction where your bank will deposit that value in your bank account if you're getting deposit credit. If not, that's the amount that reports for the end of the business day for balancing purposes. So the $20 was comprised with the $20 deposit here from the day before. And even though the courier took the money back out, the system paid the $20. Up here you can see we made that $7 transaction, and that paid the day after that. So my screen for retail gives me deposit transactions pertinent for daily credit. Now many users that are comfortable with Excel will want to turn on the filters function, and you can use the filters to go look at individual research. If I wanted to see everything that user Alvarez had performed in that period of time, I can drill down, look at that data, sort it, and I can see Alvarez's transactions. If I wanted to look at all of my end-of-day transactions, I can merely click on end of day, and it'll show me those two amounts, and this will match up to my bank account. So the ability to export this to Excel is an important feature of Cache2Cash. So we just looked at the retail screen. Next, let's look at the finance screen. The finance screen shows me my dollar transactions as they flow through time. There's a red, yellow, green chart here. Green safes are online. The red safes are older safes that we've taken offline, and they're red because they have not reported to the network in the last 72 hours. What we'd see on this is Sentinel Burgers. Again, I see the last time I've communicated with that safe. If there were cash in the safe, there'd be a dollar amount. Balance in transit would show cash that is no longer in the safe but has not been reported for payment for the bank. So I would be expecting to see that currency show up later on. And then the payment submitted is the dollar amount that should show up in my next banking statement. So this is how you tie off your Cache2Cash screen with your banking statement. And again, you can click on export to Excel or export to PDF for individual specific exports. And like the other retail screen, if I hover over it and it turns blue, I can go back and look at all of my last transactions at my Sentinel Burgers locations. So I can see that on December 16th, $7 was deposited, and it was comprised of a $5 and two $1 notes. This is $1, it was 5, 10s, 20s, 50s, and hundreds. I can see my transaction previous to that was the 24th with 6 $1 and 1 $5. And this just goes back over time for up to the 90 days for that reports or reports archived for the full year. The payment screen shows me the dollar amounts that have been deposited on behalf for either banking credits or for reporting purposes. If I'm not receiving banking credit, still allows me to tie my end-of-day transaction to my point-of-sale transaction that my individual stores would have. And once I click on that training for the payment screen, I see the most current payments or the dollar amounts that were deposited to the bank for that data. The final piece of data under the home screen is the technical screen. This allows me to go look at individual transactions, and if I want to look at the activity for Sentinel Burgers again, I can pick out a window of time. Let's pick the month of December, and I just draw out a menu from the calendar, and this shows me every detailed transaction that's gone on with the safe. So every time there was a shift report, an end-of-day report, a zero report, automatic end-of-day, or a power-up, all of the transactions are captured for the window of time that I was looking at. This is excellent for if you're in the loss prevention department and you want to understand exactly what went on with the safe. If there was a discrepancy with your point-of-sale system or an employee issue, you can go back and look at individual denominations, timestamps. You can do research and investigations for everything that went on with that safe. So that's the technical screen. Let's look at a couple of reports. Here's the daily report. The daily report is my single day report of total dollars across my enterprise. So if I wanted to look at my my safes, then I'm going to pick all 4 of them here. And I want to pick an individual day. Let's go back to December 16th. The system has now responded with my daily report. What this gives me is each individual store number, cassette drops. Cassette drops are verified dollars that I would normally either receive provisional credit from or be certain that these went through the bill acceptor. Manual drops are reported for audit purposes, need to be verified by actual pickups and counting by the armored carrier. But this gives me my daily number, and this should equal to what my bank deposit should be for that day. So this is the report that allows me to take all locations for a single day. So that's daily reports. I wanted to look at a couple key other reports that are frequently used. The summary denomination report is an interesting report. I have to paint this screen. But what this allows me to do is look at my cache insert history for a single location across a period of time. So I'm able to go select this individual store, 65073. It's picked out that for me. And I want to pick this, and I can either pick ZREP to ZREP, which means safe end of day to safe end of day, or by a date range, which is a midnight to midnight actual calendar date for that period of time. And I can go pick that for an entire month, for instance. And then I'll click on that report to run it. And that report's given me the data for that month. I had deposits and insertions to equal $7.20. So there's 2 kinds of reports. The daily report is all my locations for a single day, and the summary denomination report is a single location for an entire period of time. So those 2 pieces of data generally give us all of the data we need to see where we stand. And the final report of most information is the safe status report. This gives me the ability to go look at an individual location and see where it stands today. With that information and the ability to simply experiment and look at the various reports, use your different locations and different date ranges, you'll become very familiar with Cache2Cash. It's a very straightforward, simple to use tool. The beauty of intelligent safes is all of the data is captured in near real time with Burroughs Cache2Cash, and the data that's captured is the safe location, the timestamp, which is the time and date of the transaction, the identification of the user, and what occurred with the denominations and the notes. So once you capture all this basic information, all of the reports are really just different ways of looking at it. Thank you for your attention today.